Right, I want to go into a new area now. I see on your website, allgameblasters.com, that there is now a 10-ounce blaster available, and that you recently embarked upon what could be your most important all-going assault yet. Can you please highlight you and your friends' experiences for us, especially the aeroplane incident?
Oh, the airport, Texas. Yeah, I've been going, and I'm a doer. I'm not a talker. In fact, talking is probably the hardest aspect I've had to learn, because I'm more of a person who gets out and does things rather than sit around and talk about them. And I go on all kinds of these missions for the Lord, putting this orgone around the country. And last year I was down in Texas. It was 2 years ago. I lose track of time. And I was on a lake, and there was a military plane that kept circling the lake because they had just laid this huge chemtrail, and there was a huge drought in northern Texas at the time that I was down there. And so I was on this lake putting orgones throughout this lake. The chemtrail was disappearing, and immediately this military plane shows up, and there's just no chemtrail anymore. It's totally dissipated, and this military plane kept circling around, and I'm looking at I was with my son, and I said, there's some kind of weird contraption on that thing, so it kind of drew our attention to this plane. Normally I don't pay attention to airplanes. And about the last time it came around, it started shooting at us. I just laughed.
Was it one of those spraying attachments on the rear of it?
I don't know what no, it wasn't a sprayer. I'm not sure what it was.
Yeah, in the UK at the moment, over Sussex, we've got jet planes that are escorting the chemtrail spraying planes, the larger planes, and it seems like that they're there just to ensure the job gets done.
Well, you know what? They can't defeat orgone. If you orgone an area, then they're not going to be able to saturate it with their chemtrails. And so that's why they were so furious, because we were out there in northern Texas, and by the second day when we were out there, it started raining. Because a lot of these droughts are orchestrated by the government. They're forced droughts. And so if you get out there and orgone your areas, then they can't beat that. It'll rain. Now, if it's a drought from the Lord, there's no orgone in the world that's going to work. So if it's not from the Lord, it's from the government's weapons, then you can defeat it.
Right. And tell the listeners what you found out about orgoning the lakes that are near these secret dumb bases.
Well, what we found out is that orgone doesn't hurt water, because orgone is just a pure energy source. In fact, anybody would want orgone around them because it brings you a lot of peace, keeps demonic beings away, keeps the aliens away, and so it's a natural earth energy. Orgone is produced by the earth itself, and what's happened is with the government technology, through the chemtrails, they produce dead orgone on it because they're trying to suppress all of the living energy from the earth, and so we're just putting it back in the air is what we're doing. We're helping the earth itself because the government's trying to suppress it. If you put it in the water, orgone's very toxic to alien beings. And what we found out is that they use a lot of these lakes and water sources for these underground bases. And they have over 100 of them in the United States alone, where they have these underground joint alien and human bases. And they're tapping into our water sources, our lakes and rivers, for the water for these underground bases. And some of these underground bases are the size of New York City. People don't understand. They're like the size of Manhattan. They don't understand exactly how big they are. They're huge. And this underground water will poison the aliens. It'll kill them. And so that's one way of getting rid of them, is by orgoning the water sources.
It reminds me of the movie Dune, where they had all the underwater supplies.
Yeah, because it's not going to hurt a human. You wouldn't have any kind of effect of drinking water. It would be like drinking spring water, but to an alien it's total poison.
Right. So, did you say something about them having to evacuate that base because the water had become useless to them?
Well, they didn't say they evacuated the base, but what they said was they were no longer going to drain the water out of the lake that we'd orgoned.
Right.
So we're no longer draining the water out of that lake. And so that's what I was telling the people in Atlanta, because their Lake Lanier out there in Georgia is going dry. I was telling the warriors out there, get orgone in that water, they'll stop draining it, because what they did back in the 80s and 90s was build huge government underground bases in the mountains around Atlanta, and now they're draining all the water out of the lakes, these underground bases. And if they start orgoning them, they'll stop doing it because it's toxic to them. They can't use that water.
It sounds like we've all got to just get together and protect our own water supplies.
Oh yeah, I mean it's one way of saving the water, because if you even go out west in America, it's just pathetic how little, how much the water has dwindled because of the droughts out there.
I remember you saying that after your orgone assault sort of trip around America recently, that as soon as you got back you said because of the work you and your friends had done, you predicted that all the forest fires would occur, and within a week, surely enough, the forest started burning. Yeah,
I said watch the fires start, and sure enough we weren't back 2 weeks, and I got a phone call from my friend. What'd you do, go out west and start fires? I just started laughing.
Well,
because they have to combat that. We put so much positive energy out there, they can't stand it.
Yeah.
They have to combat it with dead orgone energy, and the fastest way to get dead orgone energy in the air is to set something on fire.
Right, but of course I suppose that's only temporary, whereas the positive orgone is always going to be there until they somehow
yeah, and they've been asleep. They don't understand, they don't realize. Well, they didn't, they do now, but they didn't realize exactly what the orgone was that we were doing, because they thought they had a manipulation and a handle on it, because so much of the orgone that's been made, put out by people here in the United States is their kind of orgone. It emits negative energy, so they didn't care about it. But the Lord had me change the way. He showed me exactly how to make it, and it combats the negative energy that the orgone that other people are making, and it defeats Satan's kingdom at the same time. And so I don't think that they caught on right away. Well, I know they didn't, as to exactly how we had changed the formula of orgone itself, because we make a very specific kind, as opposed to what's being sold on eBay. I get people asking me all the time, should I buy orgone off of eBay, and they'll send me links, but no, it's garbage.
Am I
buy
right?
That stuff. I got the directions right on my site. You can make your own.
Am I right in thinking that all you have to do is look at which direction, clockwise or anti-clockwise, the copper coil is going?
Well, that's one of the things. But, I mean, there's so much to it. I have the directions on my website at orgoneblasters.com or orgonewarriors.com. People can make it themselves. It's very simple. What happens is with a lot of this other orgone that you'll see on eBay, they add ingredients to it. They go, oh, this will make it better, and they add this and they add that and they subtract that, and you no longer have orgone, you have something else.
Right, and that's probably negative energy, therefore a danger.
Yes. And it's the same kind of ingredients with our orgone that was protecting the Ark of the Covenant, the energy around the Ark of the Covenant. Anybody tried to touch it, they were killed. The Lord showed me a correlation with that a long time ago with the orgone.
Right. Just going to quickly jump back to the airplane. I remember on your Monday show you said it fired something, didn't it?
Yeah, it was shooting at us. It was a gun. It was, we're sitting in a kayak. You hear this rat-a-tat-tat-tat-tat. I'm like, is that what I think it is?
What, bullets whizzing all around you or something?
Well, no, they weren't going to get near us. I sat and laughed. I felt no fear at all. I was sitting there laughing. I was going, that thing's shooting at us.
So was it just trying to scare you off then?
I felt no fear. I think they were just trying to intimidate us, perhaps.
So,
same thing as Taos, New Mexico. I was in Taos, New Mexico a couple months back, and they had all kinds of government vehicles there. They were beaming these microwave weapons into my hotel room, frying me like a chicken when I was there. I'll tell you that.
You weren't in Kentucky then? You weren't in Kentucky then? Frying chicken.
Yeah, I should have gone from Taos to Kentucky. And then they lost us for a while, and then they'd find us again, and it was an interesting trip. It was just interesting seeing it all, seeing them there in Taos, New Mexico. Just so many different government vehicles there. It's like, how many government vehicles is it going to take down one woman from the Midwest?
Well, it shows how confused they are about what's going on,
I just thought it was amusing because it's taking all these different agencies, and I'm just one person, and just a handful of the Lord's warriors, and we had no fear of them,